It's the time of year when Christians like me celebrate the birth of Jesus, but for some reason, that offends some people. Like a group of atheists who displayed anti-Christmas signs near a nativity scene at the Washington State Capitol. Now, that's just one of dozens of examples of attacks on Christmas. Why are so many people offended by a holiday that brings joy to millions of people? Joining us, Fox News radio host and author of The War on Christmas, John Gibson, and Fox News chief religion correspondent and Little Rocker band member Lauren Green. Welcome them, please. Good to see both of you, and thank you very much for joining us. We are a few days away from Christmas, and you would think that the war was the war on Christmas. And John, you've got a book by that title.
Yeah, I did write a book about it, and I thought maybe we'd be done with it a year or so ago, but it seems to pop up every year no matter what anybody does. And it's more, you said people are offended by Christmas, but what really goes on is in local governments, and usually it's school boards and city halls, somebody decides that they're a Supreme Court justice, and they're going to decide what is separation of church and state. And they're constantly thinking that reindeer or Santas or wreaths are somehow religious symbols and have to be banned. And really, when you get down to what this problem is all about, it's somebody who just hasn't bothered to read Supreme Court rulings about what is a religious symbol and what isn't.
Well, you've done research for the book, and you've talked about it on your radio show. Tell me, what is about the most disturbing case of the anti-Christmas spirit that you've come across?
Well, I mean, just in the last couple of days, there was an incident in North Carolina where a school board banned reindeer. Now, I mean, you know, you can talk to any number of Christians and say, are reindeer a symbol of your religion? And almost 100% are going to say no. But it's clearly some school board member, and I saw this over and over and over. It involves Santa Clauses and candy canes and almost anything that connected to the Christmas holiday. Somebody would decide that's a religious symbol, and therefore, because of the separation of church and state, we've got to ban it. They're just wrong, and whenever it gets dragged into court, that's the end of it. But it's almost like little forest fires popping up everywhere. It's hard to go around stamping them out one at a time.
You know, banning reindeer, in Arkansas, we call that hunting season, by the way. So, Lauren, let me ask you, you cover religion for the Fox News channel. You obviously have had plenty to do this year. The case in Washington State seems to have ignited I guess the frustration of a lot of people who just don't understand why you can't have a simple observance of the December 25th day, call it Christmas, and accept that there are a lot of people who respect that day.
Well, what happened in Washington, D.C. is something that offends Christians because it's done at one of the most sacred times of the year. It is Christmas. Now, Christmas does not define Christianity. As you know, Easter defines Christianity. But it's this time of year that more people are observant of Christian holidays. So people are very offended by this. And why is it they chose Christmas? Because they want to offend Christians. That's the idea. Because if you didn't want to offend Christians, you wouldn't put it at Christmas. There's a lot of popping up about atheism with the advent, to use a Christian word, of Richard Dawkins, and all of the atheist books that are very popular. And so there is this sense that they can become more popular by being in the public eye. And you've got the atheist billboards on the buses. And this is happening in England as well. It's not just happening in the United States, but it's much more pronounced here because we're not used to it.
It's just gotten very aggressive. The atheists have decided to get in the faces of religious people, and it's somehow or another they think that they're going to convince religious people that they're wrong if they just put up these messages. You know, look, for a long time, atheists have had the right to do this because the ruling is if you're going to put up a religious symbol like a nativity scene, you have to be open to menorahs or Wiccan symbols or whatever. But the atheists recently have decided, okay, well, we're going to take advantage of that and put up these insulting messages because we're free to do it, and we want to get in the faces of...
And you know, I don't have a problem with if the atheists want to have a holiday. I mean, Christians have December 25th. I think they should have one. I suggest April 1st would be an appropriate day. Let them have their own. I think it's perfectly fine.
One of the things about... Yes, very good. one of the things
the
about
letters
the laws,
will be coming in, I'm
exactly,
sure now.
sure.
Yeah.
We'll check the blogs. One of the
Huckabee at Fox News.
That's right.
Huckabee. One of the things about the lawsuits and the school board systems, and that's happened, as you say, throughout the country. And when I've covered these stories, one of the sort of behind-the-scenes comments is saying, well, a lot of times these schools, they really don't know the law. And what they're afraid of is the litigation that will cost them money. And the financial situation that most school boards are in, so they err on the side of caution. They will ban something before they understand the real legal
ramifications. But they don't understand that there are dozens and dozens of Christian legal foundations. I mean, there's a dozen I can think of offhand that will step in and say, no, you don't have to do this. And if school boards know, look, we can get some legal help and it will be free as long as we're sticking to the Constitution, they should be free to do as they please.
But also what you have in this country, you've got a lot more people who do not celebrate Christian holidays coming into this country, immigrating. You've got more Muslims, and then you've got, well, Muslims in particular, because they are more, I guess, tenacious about saying, no, these are our rights. Because this is a church against state, or church versus state. So we have a right to not celebrate or not condone another religion. And that's become very pronounced. And a lot of the school boards are much more sympathetic to other religions because they know that there's going to be this legal situation.
But what they also do, and this is another mistake they make, is these boards just say, well, we'll treat all these other religions as cultural studies. That is, we'll study what it means to be a Muslim. We'll study what it means to be Jewish. We'll study, but Christianity, oh, that's religious. We got to expunge that. This is also a mistake. If you're going to talk about any religion in schools, it should be educational. You teach kids about all the religions.
It's called The War on Christmas by John Gibson. Happy to have John join us here today, as well as our keyboard player for the Little Rockers, and somebody who everywhere I go in this country they always say, tell that Lauren Green hello, she's just gorgeous, we love her. So Lauren, they love you out there in America. And
thank you.
I hope people will read John's book, The War on Christmas. Let's hope that we can not have a war this Christmas, but peace on earth, goodwill to men. We'll be right back.